Thanks everybody for coming to the 7th meetup here in Berlin. As always, I start with a community update. And this time I've extended the community update with a little introduction about Apache Flink. So if somebody ended up here without knowing where he is, this should tell him. So Apache Flink is an open source platform for distributed data processing, which unifies batch and stream processing. So the core of the system is this distributed streaming data flow runtime, which has different programming abstractions on top. So there is the dataset API for batch and the data stream API for stream data processing. And you can deploy that runtime on different platforms, like on your local JVM, on a cluster, on Yarn, or on different cloud providers. And we are building, together with the Flink community, libraries and abstractions on top of the programming APIs of Flink. And the Flink runtime or engine is able to help you with a lot of different use cases. So it is able to process real-time streaming topologies, but it's also able to process large batch pipelines, which will run for hours processing huge amounts of data. You can also do very computational intensive use cases like machine learning or graph analysis on top of Flink. So I hope now everybody has a rough idea of what Flink is. And then, as always, with the community update, I would like to share with you what happened in the last month. So the guys from Zeppelin opened a pull request for integrating the Flink runtime with Zeppelin. So Zeppelin is like a notebook kind of tool where you can interactively explore your data. So you can do like group by and then count, and then it will visualize you the results. Then the community agreed on a list of issues to fix for the 0.9 release. So it's coming closer. Then somebody who's sitting here in the room, Timo, opened a pull request for the static code analysis. That's a really amazing feature which will allow the Flink optimizer to do more optimizations. So the Flink optimizer depends a lot on the user to specify what user-defined functions are doing. And with this change, the system will be able to automatically understand at least a bit of what the user is doing in the function. So we can automatically give the optimizer hints about what the user is doing in his function. And then the optimizer can do more optimizations. The Jelly sub-project of Flink, the Jelly API guys, created a roadmap for the project and a very good blog post about it. So we'll communicate more about what's happening there. And you can, as always, join and contribute. Somebody in the community a new contributor started to work on a Scala API for Jelly. So if you prefer functional programming, you can hopefully use that soon as well. And we started a meetup in Stockholm and in the Bay Area. So more people can join these great meetups. Ufuk worked on the front page of Flink together with the community after a lot of discussion on the mailing list. This new web page shows more about what the system is doing and what features we have. If you find anything on this website that you don't like, you can, as always, open a discussion on the mailing list or file a JIRA if it's an obvious bug. And for the Zeppelin integration, this is what I meant with the visualization. So you can interactively write your application in the upper window here. You can have like val text, environment from elements, stuff like that. And then it will show you the results graphically. Also, we've changed a lot in the code. So the streaming component, we spend a lot of time with making it fault tolerant. So we reworked the fault tolerance again because we found some issue with it. And we've added a second state backend, which allows you to store state also on file systems like HDFS. The machine learning library has been rewritten to have pipelines similar to scikit-learn. So I'm not an expert in machine learning, but I've heard that this is what you want to do. And we've added a switch to the startup of Flink where you can say whether you are only doing batch processing or stream processing. The streaming mode will also support batch, but it's optimized for stream processing. So the resources are allocated a bit differently in the beginning. And as always, and I think most of the time and most of the comments are related to small bug fixes, stability improvements, stuff like that. Also, a lot happened at meetups and in the media. So we published another blog post, which will also be presented here, basically, at the meetup. Then Stefan published his slides from his talk at Strata Hadoop World in London, which got, I don't know, shared at Twitter like crazy. And yeah, the Confluent guys and Data Artisans had a joint blog post about how they see the future of stream data processing and analytics with Flink on real-time streams. Then there were different events. So the Strata event in London, the meetup in Stockholm at king.com. King is doing a lot of like fancy iPhone and Facebook games. And we had a meetup in Budapest. So there was a lot of stuff going on. Also, I saw on Twitter that companies are starting to add Flink to their stack. So here you can spot the Flink logo. I don't know whether this is released or anything. I just saw it on Twitter, and I don't have any relationship with Cask Data. I also haven't asked them whether they actually ship it in their product or not. I just saw it on Twitter. Similarly, this company also has put Flink here into their technology stack. But I think it's very nice to see that companies are starting to put Flink into their marketing material. I've also looked again to the GitHub stats of the last month, and as always, we've changed a lot of stuff in the code, and Stefan is again the one with the most commits. But it's also impressive to have a look at the number of GitHub stars and forks, and in particular the forks is a lot, because this is, I mean, starring something is easy, but doing a fork implies that somebody has the intention to contribute to the project. So that is really a number that I really enjoy to see. Then I promoted the Flink workshop here at the meetup. And I don't know, I did maybe too much promotion and too many people signed up. So we have 38 people on the waiting list. And that's why we decided to have a second Flink workshop here in Berlin. So if you guys live in Berlin and want to make space for people that don't live here in Berlin and are extra coming to the Berlin Buzzwords here, you might consider leaving that event and joining the next one next week or the week after, also here in Berlin. And please hand in talks or sign up for Flink Forward, which is happening in October here in Berlin at the beautiful Kulturbrauerei. There we will also have workshops and trainings. And if you sign up now, you can still get the cheaper early bird rates. And that's it for the community update. And now Fabian will present how we do manage memory management.